Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is sugar, which I have referred to in the past many times as, when it comes to nutrition, in my own professional opinion, sugar is the devil. Sugar is one of the worst substances, and many people are addicted to sugar. Sugar has no nutrient content. Let's just put that out there right now. There is no nutrients found in sugar. Sugar is a chemical. So that's why many people are addicted to sugar. So sugar addiction is something that's prevalent. Most people are consuming, most Americans are consuming 32 tablespoons of sugar a day. That's like insane to me. And I even think it's more than that, to be honest. But a recent study has shown that the average person has 32 tablespoons of sugar a day. So why is sugar so addictive? Because sugar is a chemical. Sugar is just as addictive as heroin and more addictive than cocaine. So let that process for a minute. Not so sweet, huh? No. And it's something that is, as I mentioned, you easily get addicted to it. So if you're having, sugar, for example, in the morning, and you're going to be craving that sugar again, you're going to want that fix again. That's why there's lineups at Tim Hortons at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon for like donuts, because people are having continuous cravings for sugar because they're consuming too much sugar. So it's just this wave. It just, your blood sugar is going like this, and every time you get that high peak is when you have that sugar, and then it drops again, and then you feel, you have no energy, you might be aggravated, you have like brain fog, and you get this intense craving to do it all again, and you're just going like this all day long. So sugar is very addictive, as I've mentioned. And the reason it's addictive also, regarding the quick fix thing, is that sugar is, a lot of people that are addicted to sugar are in denial about their addiction to sugar. Like most people that are like alcoholics perhaps, or drug addicts, they're in denial that they are addicted to sugar. So what happens is that, I can tell you from experience, working from clients in the past, I'll often ask people about their sugar intake. I mean, being a registered holistic nutritionist, it's one of the first things that come up. And when they do their food journaling for me and, record everything that they eat, I'll ask them, like, how much sugar are you? And I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 people go, oh, I don't eat sugar. I never eat sugar. And I see their food journal after, and I tell them how many grams of sugar they're eating, and it blows their mind. They had no idea. Like, people think that sugar is cake. People think that sugar is cookies. Sugar is found in all carbs. So, and it doesn't mean that carbs are bad for you. I'm really sick of this perception that's out there, that that's what they want to market to you, so that you get all these, low carb diets. It's okay to watch your carbs if you're, trying to lose weight, or if you have another medical condition. But I do not believe in taking carbs out entirely. You're just going to fail. So I think what we need to educate ourselves with is that there are simple sugars and there's complex. So like simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates, and the simple carbohydrates are the bad ones, pretty much, because they just go through your system really quickly and they affect your blood sugar. And the glycemic index gives you an indication of how quickly the blood sugar will rise in your body. So it's really good to get acquainted with foods that are low on the glycemic index, and you will find carbs that are low on the glycemic index if you are watching your sugar. But again, as I said, most people are in complete denial of their sugar intake, and I find this over and over again. It's really remarkable. So they're in denial of it. They're consuming it all the time. There are many reasons that they don't feel good. And in fact, sugar is the contributor to almost every illness out there. Like, it's a contributing factor to almost every serious illness out there. They just, it might be something else that the person's also doing. So the doctor will say, oh, it's for that reason. Because there are some great doctors out there, but unless you're seeing a naturopathic doctor, a medical doctor, like a hospital medical doctor, takes like 25 hours of nutrition, where naturopathic doctors and registered holistic nutritionists are doing hundreds, if not thousands of hours on nutrition. So they know a lot more about these topics. So sugar consumption, it's at its all-time high. They put sugar in food to make it taste better. They put sugar in a lot of even low-fat items, and they'll put even fake sugar, which is another topic, but also not good for you. Fake sugar is also a chemical, whether it's aspartame or Splenda. It's a chemical. It is a neurotoxin. It poisons your brain. So that is no better. But sugar, so you know how to watch your sugar intake. You look at the ingredients at whatever it is that you're consuming, and you look for that serving. And I've talked about this in my video about reading labels if you wanted to look into that. But basically, the rule of thumb for sugar is that 4 grams of sugar is equal to 1 teaspoon of sugar. So for example, if you're drinking a Coke, that Coke can has probably 40 grams of sugar in it. Generally, they do 40, 44. So that's 10 or 11 teaspoons of sugar for 1 pop, right? So, and that's usually for the whole can, but I mean, it goes by the serving. So you have to know what you're eating. If you're eating double that, then you double all the numbers. So one way I found very effective when I was going to schools and educating kids about nutrition at various schools around Toronto, what I would do, and what many nutritionists do, is I would have, let's say, the can of pop, and then I will have in a bag how many teaspoons of sugar are in that can of pop, or whatever it is. And I'm just picking on pop right now, but there are so many things that have sugar in them, like hidden sugars everywhere. And if we have this bag so that we see what our consumption of sugar is, then I see people make better decisions based on that. And I find it really helpful to educate people on sugar and how much sugar is in almost everything that we eat. Everything processed has sugar in it, pretty much. So it's really, really important to know this. And also the what sugar does. We hear sometimes, you may have read articles, if you know anyone that has cancer, if you've read articles on cancer, they basically say that sugar feeds cancer cells. So what sugar does do is that sugar suppresses your immune system. So if it eats your phagocytes, which are your white blood cells, which are responsible for fighting off disease, fighting off foreign invaders in the body. It's your defense system. It's your immune defense system. And sugar directly affects that. Even a little bit of sugar can directly affect that. So if you are suffering from any kind of ailment, especially, you should be really concerned about your intake of sugar. So another thing that's really important to know about sugar is that with sugar, and again, I mentioned the blood sugar levels, what's going to happen is that eventually with type 2 diabetes, what happens with people is type 1 diabetes, just for the record, is genetic, can be caused by a virus. It was normally set off on young children, like juvenile diabetes, but now they're finding it's happening in older people. Type 1 diabetes is completely separate from what I'm talking about. It is something genetic that is happening in the body. So it's not necessarily food related. Type 2 diabetes is 100% food related. So what happens in our body is that if we have something high in sugar, our blood sugar goes up, our bodies go, this is not safe, I need to bring this blood sugar down because it's extremely unsafe, and our bodies are smart and wise and know this. So our pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. It brings our blood sugar down. Then psychologically we get, we need our fix, we need that fix, like a drug addict. And we have it again, and it happens again. The pancreas releases the insulin again, going, this is not safe, brings us back down. Blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on. So what eventually happens is that the pancreas gets exhausted, and the pancreas does 2 other functions. That's not all the pancreas does in our body. Our pancreases are so important and do so many other things for us. But it kind of gets tired of doing that all the time, and then it stops releasing insulin. So you become a type 2 diabetic, and that's exactly what happens in the body. That's the science behind becoming a type 2 diabetic. So sugar withdrawal could be very bad for a lot of people. Studies show, I mean, I get irritated sometimes if my blood sugar is low, but especially in men, for some reason, they find that men get really irritated when their blood sugar is low if they have an addiction to sugar, especially when they're consuming a lot of sugar. So it was an interesting study a few years ago. There was a study done at a jail, and they had, I can't remember the exact numbers, so I'm going to throw some numbers out there. There was like 700 prisoners. So they did this study. The prisoners agreed to do this study. It was an all-male jail. So they gave 350 of them, you know, their regular food that they were eating all the time. A lot of high carbs, high sugar food. The other 350, and they all agreed to do the study, were given like a low sugar diet, a diet very low in sugar. And what they found over a period of time, and these were all like, this was a high security prison. So these prisoners were not just in there for like stealing a loaf of bread. They were there for some pretty serious crimes and a lot of violent crimes, a lot of violent prisoners. And what they found is that the 350 prisoners that lowered their consumption of sugar through this study, they had far less incidences of violence and angry outbursts and being irritated and pushing and shoving people and like losing their mind at nothing. So I think this is really, really important. And there are some books and about this study, and you could probably Google it and find it as well. I found it was very, very interesting. But our blood sugar is supposed to be this way. It's just supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be going up and down all the time. I mean, you could have little spurts here and there. You know, and if you're craving sugar and you're trying to get off sugar and you do realize this is a problem for you, you are going to feel a lot worse before you feel better. But I promise you it's going to be worth feeling better, because once you cut sugar out of your diet, you will have you'll kind of be feeling like you're detoxifying. If you've ever done a detox, you feel like crap. Like the first week, sometimes 2 weeks, you feel like crap. Your body is adjusting to these changes. You're going to have the psychological addiction that you need this, you need this. Your body's going to be freaking out like, where's my sugar? Where's my sugar? But once you get, you know, over a week, I'd say 5 days, maybe 10 days for some people. Once you get over that hump and you get used to eating a diet that is lower in sugar, and you don't have this addiction anymore, it's so freeing. And what's going to happen is that when you do have sugar, you know, an occasional piece of cake for someone's birthday, or maybe, you know, some processed food that has some sugar in it, a pop, like whatever it is that has sugar in it, what's going to happen is that you're going to be so sensitive to it and you're going to feel it right away. Like I know with me, if I have something sweet, I'm like a 6-year-old kid. Like I'm like, like I'm wired. And it's because I eat a diet fairly low in sugar. So if you are craving sugar and you're, you know, really desperate to quit this bad habit, you could consume fruits. You could always, fruits have natural sugar in them. Now you still want to be careful with fruit, because some fruits have a lot high sugar, and it's still going to have that reaction in your body, even though what you're eating has more, you know, nutritional substance than like a cookie or something. It's still going to have that effect. So you're going to want to watch what types of fruit you eat. A lot of berries are low glycemic. I was talking about the glycemic index earlier in this video. So a lot of berries are low glycemic on the index. Like blueberries are low glycemic, raspberries are low glycemic. A banana, for example, is high glycemic. It's got a lot of sugar in it. Green apples are low glycemic. So you can do a search on, you know, what fruits are low glycemic, and you can have more of those. That's one thing. Figs have sugar in it, and they're good for like that fix. Again, you don't want to overdo it, because you don't want this to start happening all over again. But again, do your research on what low glycemic foods are. They do not affect blood sugar the way high glycemic foods do. And you'd be surprised at how many foods are high glycemic. So sugar, just to end this off, I'm going to say I honestly feel it's one of the worst things that we're consuming right now. I think it's attributing to so many health problems. And what happens with sugar in the body after, you know, all this is happening, you're having so much sugar. Where sugar gets stored is 100% in your abdomen, so in your stomach. So if you have belly fat, or you want to know how to, like, it's all sugar. That's where it goes, is your stomach. And you can always tell, even people that drink a lot of alcohol, because there's sugar in alcohol, they tend to gain weight around their tummy as well. Like, they call it the beer belly, right? But I mean, you don't have to drink beer. It could be any kind of alcohol. The weight goes to your belly. So insulin stores in your belly. When there's too much going on in the body, too much sugar, it goes to the belly. Another thing that can attribute to belly fat is high cortisol levels. So cortisol is a hormone that our bodies release when we are stressed. And a lot of people that are stressed, what do? They reach for something with sugar or high glycemic. And again, I want to stipulate, so importantly, sugar is found in so many things. They even put sugar in salt sometimes. Seriously, like, it's just in so many things. So look at your food labels, watch your cravings, start off whatever your first meal of the day. Some people don't eat breakfast. If it's your lunch or whatever the first meal is of the day that you break the fast of not eating overnight, that's why I call it breakfast. So it doesn't have to be first thing in the morning, but you want to make sure you start off the day with something low glycemic, because that's going to set the tone for the rest of the day. And it's going to be, as I said, a little difficult at first, but it's so worth it. Sugar is so addictive, and it's causing so many health problems right now. It's the cause of so many health problems, and it makes other conditions worse. So like depression, it makes depression worse. It makes health problems worse, because you can't fight off what's going on, as I mentioned before, with the immune system. So very, very important. And I just want to quickly end with a supplement that can help, but you have to also reduce your sugar intake. This is not a magical supplement, but the supplement is called Chromium, and taken regularly, it can help to keep your blood sugar more in check instead of this happening. But again, you can't take Chromium and eat tons of sugar. It doesn't work that way. But that's a little bit of a suggestion I can give you in terms of supplements. I hope this video was helpful. As always, if you have any questions, you can contact me directly. I am Nutralicious on Facebook. I am Lexi.velvet on Instagram, and hope you enjoyed this video. If you're so inclined, you can subscribe to my channel and give me some feedback if you like. Okay, thank you. Be well. Have a great day.